favorite character is Corzel, even though he ain't working today. I mean, he is.
The most memorable and important characters and strong characters in the Children of the Residue was the Butler family. You know, the son, the daughter, and the dad. I don't even remember the mom. I don't know if she was in it, but that family was definitely, even though they were, you know, they came with their problems, they carried their crosses, they were still a strong family. And the dad had a lot of wisdom that he shared with all the neighborhood kids or whoever came through. They had standards. They lived a civil life, and even though it was a jungle around them, this family still was united, and they just had a lot of integrity. And those are my favorite group of characters, you know, that I would like to see more of us be like this family, because even though the world is a jungle, you know, it doesn't mean we have to subject ourselves to that. It means that we should definitely, you know, pull together and try to influence each other just to be better people. You know, everybody has flaws. That's one of the things that the Children of the Residue taught me, that, you know, even though it's a jungle out there, it's still diamonds in the rough, and we still can make it, basically.
Because I'm dreaming, can you see the demons? To live is evil, my life's in denial.
The Children of the Residue elaborates on school life here in the city, where he shows the life of a kid who belongs to a private school as he relates to kids who belong to a public school, okay? And those kind of lives, and how they interact with each other, and how they, you know, have positive activities and negative activities, and all go the same.
Okay. Children of the Residue was definitely inspired, you could say, out of economic necessity. The first book I put out, Dead Boyhood, I sold 200 copies of it. But it is in Children of the Residue. I had 2 jobs, working on the east side at Timbuktu after finishing school. I had another job at Starfish Family Services, an after-school program. And I was inspired also by just watching these kids' lives and how I saw how drugs affected the young brothers and sisters. For a long time I felt like they just pharmaceuticals like any other drug, but I saw the real victims of that. And then I got laid off from both of my jobs, so I kind of felt like I can't depend on anybody to give me a job. I have to create my own job. So that's how Children of the Residue came to be. It's real life, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the characters I took out of my life, including the Butlers, was kind of like my family. We stayed in the jungle, but education was very important. But even though we was, you know, cared for, we never had to worry about a meal missing. You know what I'm saying? I still would see how my friends was affected by the dope game, the abandonment they went through, and it did have
this black woman, one of my books, her son was actually in Bosco. That's a juvenile detention center here in Detroit. And he loved it. You know what I'm saying? I just gave it to her because she said that he was doing time. So I gave it to her. She gave it to him. He loved it. He told her, like all the people in here loving it. But you know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to really get officially in a facility like that because of the graphic nature, dialogue. You know what I'm saying? It's graphic violence scenes, graphic sexual scenes, and things of that nature. So-called good kids, when the adults not around, that's how they talk, because they're looking for validation and acceptance from the tough kids. You see what I'm saying? And the tough kids learning from their parents. They get berated consistently. So let me just give you an example. Like in Children of the Residue, Dead Boyhood, that's book 1. You had Corzel. All of his road dogs, his boys, is based on my boys. Like even my homeboy that got killed. It's an aspect of him in Little Rob. You know, he's very assertive. It's an aspect of Dino and my man's Donald. He was like the glue of the clique. That's why I actually met first. Donald with the light eyes stayed down there. And then there's my man's Ken, who was kind of like the unspoken leader. And he's like Ralph, you know, he's sure of himself, he's not extra, but you better know you cannot cross Ken, you know what I'm saying? So this is from my childhood, you know, I just pulled from all of that. And I was just the nerd that had a hoop. They like to come back here and hoop. So when my parents wasn't around, I talked like that too, because that's just the general language. Now what went on in their households, I'm not totally aware of. But I done messed with enough women to know how they chop it up with they children and whatnot, you know, and how they might cuss them out.
Okay, matter of fact, I was right down the street right here on Woodward working at Northern Model High School in Detroit. Worked there for almost 5 years. And, you know, I got a chance to get up close and personal with the students, and we really don't understand what a lot of, you know, these kids is going through. A lot of them is, you know, 12 and 13, you know, taking care of siblings. You know, mom's not there, mom's is working. A lot of the brothers and sisters is homeless. You know, like, you know, I heard a lot of stories that they told me, you know, and a lot of them is actually out here sleeping on these streets. So, you know, a lot of our kids can't focus on what we call education, man, because they're trying to survive. You know, being there as a counselor, I would always allow them to come in and sit down and tell me what was on their mind. You know, a lot of people don't have that kind of time in the school, and don't, you know, they're not dedicated to the youth like that. But a lot of them just want somebody to listen to, flat out. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we as adults got to take time to listen to the concerns of our youth, because it do matter. And because we have turned our back on them, they have turned their backs on us. But they have some major concerns, man. You know, they need their parents is without jobs, father without job, mama without job, father never graduated out of high school. So this is the legacy that they left with, you know what I'm saying? And so we as positive adults, we have to, you know, be that model, that image provider for these youth. And I did my best to do that. And these kids, our kids are wonderful. You know what I'm saying? They just need guidance, and we need to be the adults and do that. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up.
Children of the Residue is my attempt or testimony to give a voice to those who grew up in my generation, that we experienced something that a lot of other people just didn't experience. You know what I'm saying? We got to see our parents go from semi-functional or totally functional to totally dysfunctional due to the crack era. Like in the 80s when it hit, a lot of people didn't know what it was, you know what I mean? They didn't know the long-term effects of it. A lot of the people you see now that's crackheads at a time was handling dope, selling it, and then they just got hooked and lost their minds. So that's what it is, man. The conditions that I was attacking was the school system, the morals, how we come up with our morals and values as young brothers and young sisters, and I'm also talking about the promiscuity habits that we pick up at that age. You know what I mean? We get taught sexual education by the wrong people, other people who don't know what it is and what it entails. So what the book talks about is also like how one broken home from a drug addicted mother, fatherless scene, affects a whole community. You know what I mean? And then it goes into part 2 where it talks about that same broken home and how it affects the community in a different way. For example, in junior high school, you got the puppy love, you know what I mean? And you got 2 young people who don't know what love really is, and they looking for that companionship because they're not getting it from home. And it's like dynamite. And then in the high school part, you have where brothers is looking at it as a sport and sisters is looking at it as a status symbol. And I saw that going to Cass. I saw that in my neighborhood. I saw that at the just neighborhood schools where a female would be like, okay, I'm gonna get with him because he got a Letterman on, or he got a sack and he young, he driving to school. It was a status. And I saw that with the young brothers where they was running trains, we call it bustos in Detroit. It's a status even for them to be like, I was able to get him and him some some coochie, you know what I'm saying? So I talk about all of that in Children of the Residue, and I think it's very necessary. It's very necessary to open up a dialogue.
Hampton Middle School. It went up to the 9th grade. That was the first time that I had seen a middle school that went up to the 9th grade, because it ain't many of those. Because I had came from, well, I came from a school on the west side, but it just was like at Taft, they had gangs like L Zone, you know, 7 Mile, all that, but at Hampton it was a little more serious because I lived on Puritan, and the Puritans in the 6 Miles, they had a serious beef going on. I'm talking about killing each other. I wasn't from Puritan or 6 Miles, from 7 Mile, but I lived on Puritan, so my friends was PAs. You know what I'm saying? So when I got there, first of all, before I even went there, my homeboy Ben, he had told me, he had said, don't let them know where you live, because it's gonna be a problem. You know what I'm saying? So I tried. Now I didn't speak on it, you know what I mean, but they end up finding out anyway. However, you know, probably from the females, they kept giving me probably like after school I would walk home, and it was probably about a 2 mile walk, two and a half mile walk. And I would have to walk past this street called Curtis, where they will all conjugate. All the 6 miles will conjugate on Curtis and just stand there, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, fuck with people. You know what I'm saying? So I would have to walk past them there. They'd be saying they shit, and I wasn't no hoe. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't just let them talk to me any kind of way, you know. And then I had to walk past 6 Mile, and they'd be conjugated up there. The high school niggas would be up there. You know what I mean? So eventually, one day they chased me and my nigga home. You know what I'm saying? They was about 15, 20 deep. It was just me and my man Nicholas. So I went home and I told my older brother. You know what I'm saying? And he came up to the school. You know what I mean? And it was him and his homeboy and my nigga Ben. And he came up there and he checked about 20 of them. Now, mind you, he was grown. They was in the 9th grade, but they was like 20 deep up on Livernois and Curtis. You know what I'm saying? So he went up there and checked them, jumped out on them like, what, you know what I'm saying? His man's Maceo had the pistol, you know, but they ain't know. But he jumped out and walked up in their faces like, which one of y'all niggas, you know what I'm saying, fucking with my little brother, you know what I mean, because y'all can get it right now. And he asked me, like, which one was it? But at that time, I seen how them niggas was curring out so much, and I knew they age differential, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want my brother to do nothing to him, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it wasn't none of him, he ain't nothing. Even outside of school, you know what I'm saying, I had to deal with the high school niggas, the high school 6 Mile niggas. You know, we was, you know, grimming each other or whatever, and I was on my way in the store. So, you know, them niggas, I wasn't scared of them niggas, you know what I'm saying? So I just was going about my business. I ain't say nothing because I was outnumbered. It was 3 of them. It was 1 of me, you know what I'm saying? So I just kept on moving or whatever. But next thing you know, I feel something burn the shit out the back of my head. Come to find out, this nigga had his lighter on, you know what I'm saying, for a long time, and you know the steel piece get hot. This nigga had ran up to the back of me and put that motherfucker on the back of my head, burnt all the hair off my shit, dog. I'm talking about down to the follicles. So I turned around and I blew the nigga shit out, you know what I'm saying? End up scrapping with 3 niggas up there, you know. I probably didn't win, but I say I won because I ain't fall. And I was scrapping with 3 niggas. You know what I'm saying? 3 niggas scrapping with you, you usually gonna fall. You know what I mean? So I ain't fall. I was out there throwing them, handling my own. Then after that, I went back to the hood, told my PA niggas, cause them was my niggas. That's all I, you know what I'm saying? That's who I was living around. Went back to the hood, told them, they, shit, we, you know, we roll. You feel me? I ain't saying that nobody died or nothing like that, but
so how does it feel to have like a slice of your life mingled with the character? It's not you, but having it mingle somebody who moves around a lot. Yeah. Do you think you know, how you feel about that?
I'm honored, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like, I bragged about it to a couple people, you know. And Creed had to let me know, like, hold on, Dro, it's not really, like, totally. But I'm still honored, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm honored that, you know, Creed chose to take a slice of my life and write about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm honored that he thought it was that interesting. You know what I mean?
Do you think a lot of people